Good morning, everyone. Give me about 10 seconds here to make sure the stream is actually streaming, and then we're going to jump straight in. And it looks like we're good. What's going on, guys? I am on my last day of vacation. Going to be back to normal starting tomorrow. Still in the Airbnb working on my laptop here. If you're joining for the first time, what we do on this channel is we're going to do an overall wellness check on the crypto market that includes looking at silver and gold, oil, US stocks, Japanese bond market. We're going to cover all of it. Great news over the weekend. We're actually looking to see some forward momentum in the market, so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to say good morning to those in the chat, and then we're going to get things started. So good morning, Echo. Good morning, Scorpio. Good morning, Jim and Gord. Good morning, Millpower. By the way, because I only have the one monitor, I may not be able to look at chat as much as I normally like to. So just keep that in mind. And then tomorrow I'm going to be back to my normal setup. I'll be back in my home office. So I'm going to jump over to my screen sharing mode here. Let me just make sure I'm actually on the right websites here. There we go. So I got my screen share set up. Actually, before I jump in, let me just I need to get a stand that I can put my phone on just to make sure it stays up. Give me like 5 seconds and I'll be ready. There we go. Yeah, keep my phone up with the stream running. That way I can see what you guys see. Normally I can do that at home with my at-home monitor, but just given the circumstances, my phone is my second monitor today. So here I am on coinmarketcap.com. One of the big things that I'm seeing right away just from the weekend, fear and greed index is just shy of 40, which means we're kind of in that like middle range. To me, this is saying that really the worst is over. In my opinion, I think that it is. We were, back and forth on this channel. Are we going to see one more major dip or not? Just given the current trends, I personally am starting to lean more towards the not angle. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be like on a sky high rip going for that like immediate bull run, but I do think that we're going to see some consolidation now that I think we're pretty much at the bottom. We might start to see things trickle upward. I don't expect March and April to necessarily be gangbusters months. I just don't think that we're going to see it go too much further down from where it already is, if it's going to go back down at all. And we'll kind of break out my thought process behind that. Part of that really is fear and greed, though. This usually means that when you see this thing kind of climbing back up, it means the more skittish retail is getting back in. So there's going to be more money flowing into crypto, in my opinion, going forward. Plus, what we're going to see, I think there will be some rotations out of US stocks and into crypto. We'll see if I'm right about that, but I do think the actual stock market is actually probably going to start going down. I think we're going to start seeing crypto go back up. Good morning, FRD. So this is the CoinMarketCap Fear and Greed Index recap. Now we're going to jump back into the actual prices. Before the weekend hit, we were looking at Bitcoin getting pretty close to 7,400. I think it actually topped it earlier this morning before I went live. It would have been, so around 10 a.m., Bitcoin was sitting very nicely above 74,000. In fact, I think it for very briefly got up to 74,500 overnight, actually. So you can see overnight we had a nice run while all of us were sleeping. Came back down a little bit in the early morning as we were waking up, climbing back up. Looks like we've had that morning sell-off at all. By the way, guys, look at this. Right at 10 a.m. If you guys don't know, there's been some trading algorithms that always sell at 10 a.m. That's part of the Jane Street controversy. Looks like that might still be in effect because, boom, it's almost like clockwork. Every day at 10 a.m., you see the market come down a little bit, and then it may or may not rise up through the rest of the day. That being said, I was saying last week what I wanted to see was a moving 5-day average to the upside. Well, we pretty much have that here. Even though we have this U-shaped pattern, probably starting around Wednesday now, we've come back up. I want to see, can we get one more week of continuous growth? If we get 2 back-to-back green weeks, that's going to tell me that, in my opinion, I think the bottom would be in. So I'm not expecting March to be like a, blow your socks off type of month. I'm just expecting March to be kind of like that stabilizer. So, we saw in January and February, you had a big sharp fall off here. This would have been around October of last year. January hits, you have another just like crypto just falls off a cliff. Well, we kind of hung out in this bottom zone here for about a month and a half. So this would have encapsulated all of February and then the beginnings of March. Maybe we rise back up a little bit, get Bitcoin maybe to this 85K range. That would be, to me, the signal that it's like, okay, like the bottom truly is in, and maybe we'll start seeing things move back up to the upside. Now, interestingly enough, not the rest of the market has actually followed Bitcoin's progress. So Ethereum has done exceptionally well in the past really 48 hours. If I tighten this chart back up, starting with the weekend, moving up to today, I mean, Ethereum's up basically 10%. If you look at this chart over here, it does say 13, but just kind of considering where it was about 2 days ago, it would be about 10%, and then it 3% from earlier through the week. So to me, this is a signal. I'm not saying that we are out of the muck. I'm not saying that, it's going to be blue skies all year round from this point forward, but this is the first step. I mean, you have to get out of the mud first before you can get to better places. So this is a beginning. We're going to keep watching this as the month goes on, but if we see these trends continue, I mean, crypto is very volatile. If we have like 8 to 10% weeks back to back to back, we could see Ethereum climbing back to 3,000 in really not too long of a time frame. And this is just one token. Of course, we're going to be looking at my favorite ones next. I just don't think it's going to happen in the month of March or April, though. I think we're going to see some steady growth. We'll probably see a little bit of profit taking, which is ironic considering how low it is. But it's not going to be a vertical line straight to the upside. I think we're going to see a little bit more of this kind of like waving and rocking until we eventually see this cross 3,000. And then maybe later on, like Q2, Q3 of 2026 is when we'll start seeing some true vertical growth, or at least that's what we're all hoping for. So right now, Ethereum's outpacing just about all of the other major coins, at least in the top 10 category. XRP kind of sitting there in the middle. I mean, look at that, guys. Ooh. We were just at $1.50, and now it went down to $1.49. But XRP has not been $1.50 in about a month. So I'm looking at this 1 month category here on CoinMarketCap.com. Mid-February was $1.50. Then it basically just went to hell after that. So this is a good indicator. We haven't seen 150 in a long time. Let me see if I can tighten this up to maybe the past 3 months. Would be nice to look at. So here we go. Okay, I tightened this thing up to October, so that's a nice time frame. We're seeing that, if we want to look at this analytically, let me turn these little paper thingies off, by the way. Sometimes when I open up a fresh tab, the paper guys are on there. I always have to go and remind myself to turn those off. If you look from October to February, I mean, it looked like a ski slope, right? Like you're just going down, 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 down. For the first time in 2 months, we're seeing what looks like the beginnings of a vertical rise again. So to me, I feel like this was the ravine. This was the bottom. We'll see if I'm right about that, but I actually am optimistic. I think the blood has been in the water for crypto. You got that blood sacrifice. I think, by the way, those are like analogies if you if you needed some clarification there, but I'm seeing this thing move out, and personally, I'm optimistic. I wanted to see 1 week of growth. We got it. Tighten this thing back up to 1 week. It might not look the cleanest. You kind of want to see a slope, maybe not like a heartbeat monitor, but up is up. That's just the way crypto is. When it moves very, very sharply. XRP up a whopping 10% in the past week. It would only take a few weeks of growth like this to put XRP back above $2. And if we got above the $2 range, personally, I feel like a lot of like the damage would have been recovered. I know there's some people that were buying XRP, mid-summer last year, that June to August range, and maybe your cost basis is above $3, and that's unfortunate. Hopefully that's not your entire bag. Hopefully that's not your average cost, but it seems like a lot of us here have an average cost of XRP of $2 or below. So we see this thing go back to $2. I think a lot of people say, you know what, I'm maybe not in the profit here, but at least I'm not underwater anymore, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I see some more of you have jumped in. So good morning, Deep. Good morning, David, and good morning, Wine. A little bit of comment here from Wine. Let's just see what's going on here. By the way, I got to squint to read the text on my phone. Wine says, hello from your wine-drinking Viking all the way from Norway. Happy to see you guys over there from Europe. Always happy to see you guys. Yesterday, I put some of my Flare into DeFi through the Bifrost wallet. I'm very happy to hear that. On the Bifrost and Alpha Oracle, got my first reward in 3 days. Should get that 8 to 12% APY. Well, hey, man, that's incredibly awesome. I want to ask a question. Are you wrapping and delegating, or are you staking? If you're staking, you should definitely be expecting that 12%. If you're wrapping and delegating, it might only be around 6 to 8. So just keep that in mind. There's no wrong answer there, by the way. It's up to you. Staking is a long-term play. Once you put those tokens in, you're not going to get them out until you get through the holding period, which, by the way, you set. It's a minimum 2 weeks. You can, in theory, you could go 15 days out if you really wanted to. But the minimum is 2 weeks. Personally, I like to go long-term. Part of the reason for that is the epoch window isn't when you start. Like, there's a window, and it's going to go, I don't know the exact dates are, and each FTSO is probably going to be different. But if you join in progress, which like 99.9% of us will, unless you literally stake the minute the FTSO refreshes, you'll get a prorated amount on that first reward. So like if you only did like a 2-week lockup period, to me that you'd almost just be better off putting that into delegation. But if you go long term, it comes out in the wash. Personally, I'm a big fan of staking, but wrapping it's a good option for people that might want to be able to move their funds around without being tied up in long term holding periods. So just something for you guys to think about, but definitely one way or another, putting your Flare to work is definitely the right way to go. So XRP is sitting here right now at $1.50, and it does look like we're in progress for it moving up. Let's keep watching this as we stream. This is good. I mean, $1.50 is a big benchmark. It's been over a month since we've seen this price, so this is going to be good. And then Wine, I see you're wrapping. So if you're wrapping, expect to get around 6 to 8%. You might be able to squeeze 12% if you were to switch over to staking, but that is totally up to you. I don't want to put any pressure on you. I'm just glad to see that you're jumping in and getting involved there. Now, as far as the other top 10 coins, it does look like Solana is kind of going hand in hand with XRP. Ethereum's been the big winner. Cardano's been doing good too. I know that some people are down by Cardano. I don't own any Cardano, but I'm here's the thing, because people don't really like Charles Hoskinson too much because of kind of his eccentricism. I actually am a big fan of him. I think that he's definitely one of the good guys. He might be a little rough around the edges, but I'm cheering for him. I'm hoping Cardano does well. I don't actually own any, but if some of you guys do have Cardano, I'd say keep holding on to it. I think it will do well. I'm pretty sure Cardano's in the CoinMarketCap ISO list, by the way. Let me just confirm that before I make that statement, but I do think that it is. If you want to see the ISO list, you can go to the home page here where it says top, go all the way to the right here where it says more. Scroll this down until you see where it says more categories. I'm just going to do a Control F and type in ISO. And here I'll get this ISO 20022 list. Sure enough, Cardano is in it. So anything that's in the ISO list, you guys, I think is going to be a very strong buy. There's only 15 in here right now. I expect this list to expand over time, but when people ask me, should I be buying XDC? Should I be buying Algorand? Should I be getting XPR? One thing I would say, if the thing you want to buy is in ISO, to me that's a very good indicator that it will remake mainstream adoption. Some of the tokens that are out there that are very popular, I think are going to have a sharp fall off once we see mainstream adoption because they're not going to actually get adopted. There's a lot of speculative coins out there. I know some people like Dogecoin or Shiba or basically any of these Bitcoin forks. You got your Bitcoin here, you got Dogecoin. I think Bitcoin Cash is around here somewhere. Yeah, it's sitting here at number 12. I don't know that these have long-term future. I'm kind of moving away from the proof of work model altogether. I don't think it has lasting power. I think proof of stake has kind of proved itself to be the better model. And then, of course, we know that some of our favorite tokens like XRP, Stellar, I believe Canton as well is like a consensus model. So it's not proof of stake or proof of work. Some people don't like that the consensus organizations have been like predetermined, but I'm not too worried about that. XRP has, I believe, over 250 validators at this point. And they're global, by the way, so I'm not too worried about stuff like that, but I know that some people are. But basically, the proof of work model, the problem I have with it, it just takes too much energy to produce. Bitcoin is an energy shark, or it's almost like a vampire. It's just sucking up energy, and maybe even, I'm not necessarily an environmentalist, but I could see how maybe PETA or any of the, or maybe Greta Thunberg is gonna one day go after Bitcoin. I just don't see it as being very efficient. If you just look at it from an engineering perspective, like what do you want to do with your vehicle? You want to get the most mileage per gallon as possible, right? Like even beyond just economical factors, you want that efficiency. And Bitcoin just is no longer efficient. Other coins like Dogecoin, the proof of work is not as nearly as energy intensive, but it's still more than zero. Whereas proof of stake, you don't have to worry about energy at all. So I look at these and I'm thinking, I just don't know if they really have this staying power. And with Dogecoin, I don't like that it has an infinite max supply. So for me, that's something that I'm personally not very bullish on Dogecoin, although I know some people are very big fans of it, especially due to Elon Musk. I'd be careful. Elon might be switching to XRP. He likes to do the cryptic stuff on Twitter, just like David Schwartz. Elon will sometimes have tweets that just have random letters capitalized. He had one not that long ago. I'd have to go and dig through, but he had some tweet where he just happened to have capitalized an X, an R, and a P in a sentence. That's like, that's pretty obvious messaging there. I don't know why Elon does stuff like that, but he named that whole Department of Government Efficiency Doge, right? So I think that was like whoa, let's buy Doge for that reason. But I'm like, what does Doge actually do? Once we start really looking into the utility of coins, I don't really see a good reason to be hitting up Doge. Bitcoin Cash, feeling kind of similar. I know that Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin. That should be pretty obvious. It's in the name. But I'm kind of just, moving away from anything Bitcoin altogether. I know some of you guys really like Canton, or maybe it's called Canton. Here in Michigan, there's a city called Canton, so that's just how I pronounce it. But whether you call it Canton or Canton, I'm not very happy with the fact that you can't have self-custody of this token. Now, if that changes, maybe I'll be a little bit more open-minded to it. But as it is right now, I'm not buying Canton, and it's also not on my watch list. That's just a personal thing. I'm not saying I don't think Canton will make money. I'm just saying that, I guess it depends on your point of view. Are you in this just to make money, or are you also trying to get some of that financial freedom? Freedom as in control of your own asset. If that's what you're after, it's what I'm after. Canton or Canton may not be for you. I don't think it's for me. But, if people are out there getting it, I'm not going to say don't get it. I'm just saying that I myself am not that interested. Stellar, on the other hand, I'll probably be buying more Stellar going forward. I don't have a whole lot of it. For the longest time, to me, buying Stellar kind of felt like buying XRP. So it was like, well, I may as well just keep buying XRP then. But I can see a future where Stellar is also a good option. In fact, I do believe Kinetic... let me sign out of my wallet. I'm pretty sure Kinetic... If I just go to a fresh screen here, I'm going to a fresh screen here. Let me go to this. Let me just start over. So let's just do kinetic.market. There we go. So I'm doing this on Flare. Kinetic also has launch on Stellar. Now I don't know if it's actually available. It says Q1 2026, so it might not actually be live yet. But I mean, that's another indicator, right? Launch on Stellar, so that means that what we're doing with Flare, you can also do a Stellar. It could be a good reason to be getting some of it. I'm open-minded to it. I might expand outward into Stellar this year. I have a few other tokens I'd like to acquire in the meantime. I'm going to go down to a Bittensor. I think Bittensor has been moving up the list quite quickly recently. Bittensor, TAO, currently at rank 30. So if you guys don't know, Bittensor had a pretty knockout month. 50%. I mean, really, it's more than just in the month. It's really, if you want to get down to it, really in the past week. Bittensor up 50%. I have the weekly chart right now. You can see here in the corner it says 48%. But I mean, if you just move this out to like a 10-day average, really, really rising up quick. Now, sometimes when I move the charts up, the thing disappears. So I'll just go back to 1 week. This right here reminds me of last year. You'd look at the chart and be like, oh, I'm up 50% in the past week. Haven't seen something like this in a long time. So I think this is pretty exciting stuff. Now, we got to zoom out a little bit. It's still down on the year, right? So there were points last year where it got all the way up to 500. So this is still on sale. I wouldn't say that this isn't on sale. But something to consider, Tau, however you want to pronounce it, TAO, it's already on the rise, up 50%. Some of my favorite coins in the market right now are actually still down. And so that's why I'm like, well, I have a tremendous belief in some of my favorite coins that haven't moved much this week. Maybe it's time to really hone in on those. And of course, we're going to get straight to them. But before I scroll further down, I just want to give a quick recap on HBAR. HBAR is very close to hitting that 10-cent mark again. So it's been moving pretty much the same way XRP has been. Pulling this up to the week chart. XRP is outperforming it by a little bit, but in general, HBAR is doing pretty good, and I think it's going to do tremendous once we see that takeover of tokenization. So this is a cool one. Definitely haven't put this one in your dollar cost average if you haven't already. Not financial advice, by the way. That is just my opinion, but definitely want to have that $1 cost averaged into. Now we're going to go down to Flare and Quant, because neither of these, in the scheme of like the rest of the market, have had that good of weeks. So I guess Quant's done a little bit better than Flare, but not by too much. So, well, actually, maybe that's not. Maybe Quant is actually doing pretty decent. We're sitting here at 68.5. But I do think that Quant fell off a little bit harder during the previous couple of weeks. So like this recovery, it's a nice recovery, but it averages out with XRP and HBAR and all that, just because I think it fell down a little bit lower. This is a good buying opportunity still, but I'm looking at Flare right now. Well, technically I'm looking at Quant, but I'm looking at Flare overall, thinking Flare's the only token that hasn't really had a good week. And you guys know how much I like Flare. Actually, Flare looks like it's still kind of moving its way down. Now, I have big expectations for Flare this week. Firelight is expanding on March 18th. We know that the vault caps are going up. Does that mean we're also going to finally start knowing what kind of yield we're getting on Firelight? That's something that I'm very interested in getting some information on. So hopefully we get that information on Wednesday. Regardless, I'm looking at Flare thinking if I'm buying anything over the next month, it's probably Flare. And then even XRP right now, I'm not sure I'm buying XRP ahead of Flare given the current circumstances. I really do think, you guys, Flare will be in the top 10 someday in terms of coin market cap. And I'm having a hard time buying anything else when I see Flare being at its true all-time bottom since the coin was launched. It's just like, you want to think of it like a slingshot. Like what slingshot has more pullback than Flare? I think that, look, it launched at 8 cents. We're now down to 0.8 of a penny. That's a pretty intense fall off. I think that we will be above this 8-cent mark faster than people realize. And I don't want to give dates. I don't want to say it's going to happen by this date or that date. It's just, if you look at all the stuff that Flare has done for the rest of the crypto industry, it's kind of positioned itself well to be the DeFi leader, especially for XRP. Now they're helping out Stellar. It's like, okay, this is pretty cool stuff. And Hugo's talked about doing wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped Doge as well. I do believe that's going to be down the line. So just kind of keep that in mind, you guys. I think that Flare, in my opinion, I'm just an analyst on YouTube, but I think Flare is going to do better than currently. Like in the month of March 2026, I think buying Flare right now will outperform just about anything else that you can buy right now. That is simply my opinion. I'm allowed to be wrong. I hope that I'm not, but I'm pretty confident that Flare will really do well. Some people have asked about XDC. I'm not currently buying it, but I know that XDC is in the ISO 20022 list, so this is something that I expect this to still be here on the other side of mainstream market adoption for crypto. So any of those ISO tokens, I don't think that you can get wrong. Let me see if I can catch up a little bit on the chat. I am on my cell phone today, so I can't necessarily read it. I can see that it's moving, but it's not like when I'm at home and I have my second monitor where I can see everything clearly. So I just have to, I'm going to pick this up real quick, and we'll just see what we're working with here. Mill Power says, Bitcoin sucks up many forms of energy. I like that. Wine asks above, thanks, you need 50,000 flare to stake, right? I just started small, didn't want to F up. That's a good way to do it, man. There's no rush. There is no rush. So I actually like that approach. If you're just getting started with flare, just put a little bit in for wrapping and delegating. Kind of get familiar with the interface, which I'll jump to it, by the way. If you guys want to learn how to do this stuff, I do this basically every day. I did already claim all my rewards for the weekend, so my spreadsheet's up to date, but this site can look scary if it's your first time using it, but the more you come in here and the more you familiarize yourself with it, you'll eventually get the muscle memory down that, wrapping, staking, delegating, all this stuff is like, it's just like, all right, I'm in there. I know exactly where to go, know exactly what to look for. You guys will get to that point as well, as long as you just kind of keep coming back. And I know that some people are doing this on Bifrost, which is totally fine. I still think there's some value to coming to the desktop app because you're going to be more in tune with how all this stuff works. And because I have to come in here and manually claim, like I don't have auto claim on when I'm doing this on the desktop, it kind of holds me accountable to keep coming back and checking my data. If you were to just have auto claim on Bifrost, it could get to a point where like 6 months down the road, you've claimed all these rewards, but like you haven't leveled up your skill set. Because like, think about it. I'm coming back in here on like a daily basis. My muscle memory for the Flare network is like perfect at this point. If I was auto claiming on Bifrost, I might come back 6 months later and I might have the rewards, but I'm not any more knowledgeable at that time in the future than I was at the start because it was kind of like a set it and forget it. So for me personally, I like coming back to the desktop app. There's accountability here that keeps me coming back, keeps me knowledgeable. I think there's a lot of value to that. Now, I know this will eventually come up, so I'm going to show it to you guys right now. If you're involved in Kinetic, or if you're involved in Mystic, or if you're involved in any of these things, there's going to be more of them over time. Scepter, Spectra, probably Firelight might be the same way. When you have a reward, you're going to come over here. It's going to be on the main site where it says account, right? So the same place that you're claiming your rewards. There's this button here that says emissions. Now, if I click on emissions, there's all these things I can claim from, right? Right here, we got Kinetic as one. If I scroll down, we're going to see that Mystic is here, Spectra is here. I'm not in Scepter yet. I think Scepter's around here somewhere. Maybe it's not. But at least Spectra, Mystic, and Kinetic are... I'm not on SparkDex. I know some people have tried it. I think it's not allowed in the United States. I haven't tried it myself, so someone in the chat correct me if I got that wrong. But in any case, if you have something to claim, like I know I've got some Mystic, I'm just going to click it. I'm not going to claim it yet. You can see here it just says, boom, claim 230 RFL. So that's going to be how you do that if you are curious to how all that works. And we'll jump into the DeFi section. I'll do the DeFi probably in the next 10 minutes. For now, I just want to finish covering off the market. So we just looked at crypto. Let's take a look at the Japanese bond market. By the way, let me switch this to dark mode. There we go. So bond market's going back up. We're at 2.28. This is officially the highest it's been since January. We saw a little brief period the beginning of February, got up to 2.3, but aside from that, this is basically the highest it's been in a month, certainly. I'm pulling this thing up to the month right now, and you can see Japanese government bond price, 10-year bond at least, By the way, we could look at other years, but 10 is kind of like the gold standard. But like just for fun, if I go to the 40-year bond, similar movement pattern across the board, but 10-year bond is kind of the gold standard for this stuff. This is the all-time high, and we're continuing to see oil rise. Now, there's been some interesting debate, and I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but I think that it's interesting. There's someone called Ari Crypto, I think her name is. She lives in Japan, so she's Japanese. You have to give that some credence. It's someone who actually lives in Japan and is like there all the time, lives there. I have to take that into account when I hear her counter argument is that the reverse carry trade is overblown. I'm not one way or another. I'm open-minded to hearing differing opinions. I still think that this stuff, to me, this stuff makes sense. It makes sense to me that, you have the 10-year bond. This continues to rise. Then you have Brent oil, which, by the way, is actually a little bit down on the day. But you add these two together, and you have a liquidity crisis in the yen, and then they're going to have to claw those loans back. There's not enough yen to cover the loan. So there will be some sort of, black swan event. XRP ends up fulfilling that. That's the prophecy. I still think it's in play. But I'm open-minded to countering opinions. And not that this really matters too much, but please don't bash other content creators in my channel. I'm not interested in any of that. So I'm not saying everyone did that, but there's been some, I guess, trolling in some of my videos and in some of my Discord. I'm not here to police people's comments, but I don't really have the patience for that. If you have an opinion, that's fine, but I'd like to see some more respect and decorum when presenting these opinions. I'm not going to police my comment section unless I really have to, but if that kind of behavior persists, then those people are going to eventually get at least muted from the channel. So all I got to say about that. Brent oil right now, 15,720 yen. We saw it very, very, very briefly open this morning, or I guess really last night, because the markets in Japan open, I believe, at 6 p.m. Is it 6 p.m. or is it 6:30? I think it's... Let me see. I think it's 6:30. No, it is 6 p.m. Okay. Let me just... What time would it have been? Okay, 6 p.m. Markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do live in, the East Coast and United States. So when the markets opened, we saw a brief run up through the night. So while all of us were probably sleeping, oil got up to 16,500. Pretty sharp fall off this morning. I don't think that this will continue, though. My theory or hypothesis, if you want to call it that, I think we see 17,000 by the end of the week. We'll see if it plays out that way, but I don't expect this oil situation in Iran, or really, I guess you could say the Middle East, because it's going to kind of extrapolate out further. I don't see this problem getting better. And even if the Strait of Hormuz opens up a little bit, there's been actual missile strikes on refineries. So those operations just shut down. Opening up the strait's not going to just magically put all those refineries back together. So I think that we're going to see long-term reduction of oil coming out of the Persian Gulf. I don't know how long, but definitely it's not going to get better overnight. Even if the war was to stop tomorrow, there will need to be some effort to ramp production back up. And so I think we're going to continue seeing this rise. The real catalyst here, if the Asian markets or the Asian countries like Korea and Japan and China, if they run out of reserve oil before production kind of meets the demand again, we could see oil spike right now we're looking at basically 16,000 yen, or otherwise I think it's 105 a barrel. Let me see. I think this tab has the This tab's blanking out on me. Let me just refresh it. Okay, this one, let me try a different tab. Oh, there we go. This one's working. So right now, Brent oil is at around $101 USD, just to make that kind of like, so you guys can kind of see the cross reference here. Same oil, just different units of measure here. We see this continue rising. I mean, we could be looking at $100 or $200 a barrel before you know it, or otherwise $32,000 for Brent. And I think that I don't want to go out and give timelines because I don't know how much reserve oil they've really got, and I don't know what their consumption rates are. All I'm saying is if we did see the reserves be consumed, you could expect to see this or even higher prices basically immediately. I'm going to close this tab. It seems like it's a dead tab. There we go. So we're going to have to keep watching this. I don't know how long that would take. It could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be 9 months. I mean, who knows? All I can say is that if there's no oil coming out of that strait, then it's a ticking time bomb. And when it blows, it's going to blow. And that's why I still think the reverse carry trade is in play, despite comments from Crypto Airy or Airy Crypto. Because maybe it's not feasible at current numbers, right? But this bond market, let's see, if this goes to 3 or 4%, you're going to see that become a big problem by itself. Then you see this. I mean, if it gets to 30,000 yen per barrel, I mean, all things considered, it's going to be real bad for like everyday people. So we're going to be monitoring this for sure. Probably we're going to be looking at this daily on this channel for quite a while. So whatever happens, we'll be first in line to know. So I see. Good morning, Dean. And good morning, Iman. Ooh, good morning, Steph. I think, sorry if I missed you. And good morning, Stav. Always happy to see you guys hopping in here. It looks like there's some movement. I just want to take a look at the comments. By the way, I see a good one from Mill. So I'm going to cover these off one at a time here. So Mill Power says, Canton getting MSM press is a red flag for me. Same thing. I think that Canton or Canton, whatever you want to call it, is a Trojan horse. We're allowed to have different opinions, but I'm not convinced that it's a good project for those that care about having their own security of wealth, right? Their own possession of wealth. Maybe it can make you money, but that money comes with conditions. Mill Power, Flare strikes me as a must buy right now. Enough of a must buy that I'm in process of buying quite a large amount of it. I don't mind saying it out loud, but I like to protect your guys' privacy there. I guess you said it, so Mill's saying he's going to buy about 6 million. I mean, it's in the chat, so I guess you probably don't mind if people saw it. He moves on to say that he knows someone who has over 1 million XDC and feels strongly that it will move much higher. By the way, Mill and I talked about this morning. This is going to be really important, guys. I don't think we've talked about this at all yet. I'll just read his comment and then I'll extrapolate it out. PSA, I hate telling you this, but yield rewards are reportable and taxable. So ensure that you understand the requirements in your host country. So we haven't really talked about this at all on the channel. So it's a good time to probably say it. I would strongly encourage you guys to be tracking your DeFi. I mean, you guys know that I'm tracking mine, so this spreadsheet is kind of a blessing in disguise. But even still, I haven't really been tracking my other DeFi stuff quite to this level. But even for 2025, if you guys are staking, there's a good chance that you owe the IRS some money. So maybe you filed taxes already. Maybe you haven't. If you haven't filed your taxes yet, I would strongly recommend, and I'm not a consultant, so don't consult me. But I would recommend getting with someone who does tax. I'm going to be doing it myself and saying, I've got this crypto, I'm staking it. What do we do here? Because for as far as I know, the Flare network doesn't have statements that you can download. I don't think. We can poke around and look for them, and if we find them, I will absolutely let everyone know. But I haven't seen, since I've been on here, a way to cleanly get that information. Now, you could potentially, I think there is a way to at least see the transaction. So you might be able to go into this very granular detail level. I could look at my wallet and see that, I've got 50 plus transactions on this wallet. There might be a way to kind of download. So I guess I could download the CSV for this. This actually might be the way to do it, actually, now that I'm looking at it. But I would say that, like, you definitely want to be doing this. Now, I'd have to go through this and really kind of see, like, does this have the information I need? Right now, I'm just kind of blasting through it. But you're going to want to know what your cost basis was versus how much your total staking rewards were. And if you don't know, and the IRS finds out for you, it's not going to go well. So just make sure you guys do that. I hate to say it, but I've been talking with Mill. This might be regarded as income tax. So, like, beyond just capital gains taxes, they might be taking income tax on your staking rewards, which I think is, I have my own opinions on that. I think it's extremely upsetting. But if those are the rules, those are the rules. And we don't have, I want to continue the show. Maybe I'll add my thoughts on that at the very end. But I do feel like that's almost like highway robbery. Like, that's the kind of thing, like, you go to DC to, like, lobby against. Like, that's almost kind of something I would, like, you see me standing outside DC with a picket fence saying we want our crypto to not be considered income tax. I think that's a big problem, but we'll cover that later. Right now I'm looking through the chat. We're at the good morning from Dean. I'm kind of scrolling it down. Millpower goes on to say, it's not just oil being restricted, it's a huge number of other important supplies that have huge impacts on the global economy. Iran seems to have adopted a financial scorched earth policy. So I've been saying this from the beginning. Some people have been kind of gung-ho, like, oh, we can knock the piss out of Iran and they're nothing to be worried about. I don't think Iran's goal is winning this war. You don't have to survive to get your goals accomplished. They just have to. It's kind of like, if I go down, I'm taking you with me. You guys have probably heard that quote. That's said often in movies and video games. I think that's their MO. If they know that there's no way out of this for them that's going to result in a victory, then the next best thing as a consolation prize is to just destroy the global economy. And that's why I've been telling everybody to be very cautious about cheering on these, naval strikes from the aircraft carrier and so it's not what you think it is. This could end up becoming like Great Depression levels of a lack of supplies. Oil is the catalyst for anything that you want out of anything in life. I mean, even plastic is made out of petroleum. I mean, petroleum makes a whole bunch of stuff. It doesn't just make gasoline. It makes a whole bunch of stuff. And so I think we really want to be cautious about getting excited or... another opinion, I guess we don't have to get into it, but, like, sometimes people cheer on war as if it's like a football game. It's like shooting missiles into another country is not like watching the Philadelphia Eagles score a touchdown. It's a bigger... It's much bigger. It's a real life. It's real life. There's real people getting hit with shit like that. And sorry for swearing, but I try to keep that to a minimum when I can. Real quick, I see there's 50 of you guys in here. If you guys could just do me a solid, hit that like button. We're at 20 likes. if you guys could just help me get to 30, I would be greatly appreciative of that. Let me get back to the chat, and then we're going to keep rolling. You guys are really buzzing today, which is nice. I always love when you guys are active in the chat. Dean says the 10-year bond grew quite a big bit over the weekend. We just covered that one off, but we'll jump back to it just so you guys can see it. 2.28. I believe for a brief minute it was a little bit higher. Yeah, it was. So it got up to almost 2.9 there for a minute, but came back down. But this is early morning for us, evening for them over there in Japan. But nonetheless, it's a Monday. Let's see how this goes throughout the week. I have a feeling that oil, I'm calling it now. I bet we see 17,000 before Friday on oil. And we'll at least see 2.30 or 2.3 for the bond market by Friday as well. Jump into silver real quick. Silver kind of in the dirt a little bit. On a 5-day moving average, it's pretty consistently moving down. When we streamed on Friday, it was around 80. It went down into the 70s over the weekend. Now we saw it recover a little bit here. But I think that's interesting. This is, things don't always go the way you expect them to. And I think it's important that we all kind of realize, it's one thing to be an analyst. That doesn't mean that you're always going to get things right. By the way, let me adjust my screen because I feel like what I'm seeing and what you guys are seeing are not entirely the same thing. So, are you guys getting my full screen? That looks about right. Oh, you know what it is my screen's like 15 seconds behind. That's what it is. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm looking at silver. I'm thinking I was expecting this to go way higher. And this is something we're keeping an eye on. It did not move the way I thought it would. And by the way, gold is basically, when silver moves, gold seems to move the exact same way. I was expecting those long contracts to cause quite a supply crunch on silver, which would have slingshotted its price very aggressively. That didn't end up happening. That doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just didn't happen when I thought it would. I still think it will. I just don't know why it hasn't already. There's a lot of trickery in these markets, and so it can be tough to predict things. I'm just using simple logic here. When you have more paper, gold, and silver out there that is being requested, by the way, in these long contracts to be fulfilled, when you can't deliver all of that, that's going to cause a supply crisis, which would catapult the price very, very high, very rapidly. But we just haven't seen that happen. That doesn't mean that it's not still in play. But I am looking at this, gold's back under 5,000. Silver's sitting at around 80. We're going to keep watching this. I do think at some point we're going to see this. I don't know when it'll happen. I'm surprised it didn't already. But I do think we're going to see this thing move violently again. I mean, you could probably see a $200 silver sooner than you guys think if things do play out the way I think that they will, or at least the way I thought they already should have. I know some of you guys already hold silver, which is awesome. I'm not buying silver right now because you really can't get physical silver right now without paying like a disgusting premium. So for me, I consider this a ship that's already sailed. I'd rather put my money into something that I think still has tremendous upside, which is obviously Flare. I'm not going to be buying silver right now, but for those of you guys already holding it, I think this is an extremely strong hold. I don't think your silver is going anywhere anytime soon, despite the fact that it's down for the past couple of weeks. Someday I expect this to really go up. I just don't know why it hasn't already. There's a lot of screwy things going on right now, you guys, and it makes me wonder, where's the integrity of the overall global market? S&P 500 sitting around 6,700, so I always like to make the joke about Pam Bondi since that was such a tone-deaf press conference. Maybe some of you guys catch the reference, maybe some of you guys don't, but Pam Bondi was asked about the Epstein files, and her answer was, "Why are we talking about the Epstein files when the Dow just crossed 50,000 and the S&P's 500's above 7?" And I was like, dude, that is possibly the worst response someone could have given. Nonetheless, S&P 500 is not above 7,000, so I guess that means we can talk about the Epstein files again. AL3 says, "Chat, Andrew, how about the rumblings that Ripple is using XRP to just prop Ripple and XRP will not appreciate?" I know there's a lot of BS out there, but this one has some merit. I mean, I've been hearing stuff like that since I got into XRP. To me, it's just noise. I mean, even Brad Garlinghouse at Australia said that XRP is the backbone of everything Ripple does. So I think, look, here's my honest opinion. If you guys want my honest opinion, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I think the Bitcoin maxis, by the way, this is an opinion, so nothing I'm stating here is a fact. So just take this with a grain of salt that I'm just some guy. I think that the Bitcoin maxis have gone on a smear campaign to run Ripple into the dirt in order to protect their interests over there on Bitcoin Core. There's a lot to unpack. I mean, there's so much. It's almost like Game of Thrones, the crypto version. There's Bitcoin Core, which we know right here is just called Bitcoin. Then you have all these Bitcoin forks. There's not just Bitcoin Cash. There's like ZBIC. There's a whole bunch of forks of Bitcoin out there. All of them hate Bitcoin Core because Bitcoin Core, in my opinion, might be the FBI or CIA has, in my opinion, that's why I had to say it's my opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up. It's just what I think's happened. I think that Bitcoin's been hijacked by the intelligence agencies. And to extrapolate that further, I think that they've paid content creators or social media influencers a lot of money to smear Ripple on Twitter and Instagram and other social media platforms. So I think a lot of claims that Ripple is this or Ripple is that, it's not just unsubstantiated. I actually think that it's slander. I think Millpower would be able to say a lot more about that than me, but I do think that there is, in some cases, some criminal behavior going on here. And I'm not a legal expert by any means, but I think that what's being said about Ripple and XRP is factually untrue. So just be careful what you guys see out there. That doesn't mean that like XRP is like ordained by God and it's been, I know that there's that angle too, which I don't know how productive that is either. I would just say, like, just break it down into simple economics. Nostro Vostro. There's all this sitting cash, not doing anything. You can't do anything with it because you need it on hand to do international business. Ripple has invented something that can cure that problem, which is a $30 to $40 trillion problem. To me, it's just simple math. XRP replaces Nostro Vostro. Doesn't have to be any more complicated to me than that. When does that happen? None of us know. Will it happen? I guess we don't know the answer to that either. I mean, I guess there's nothing out there saying that the Nostro Vostro stuff has to be converted to XRP, but that I believe it will so strongly that I started a YouTube channel to cover it, and I've moved a significant portion of my stocks into XRP. So I believe in it strongly enough to do that. That's just me. Everyone's got to make their own choices and make their own decisions. I mean, there's a reason why I'm looking at XRP and it's down. Let me see. You know, it's down 34% since. Not just a year, it's down 34% since it was 240. So really it's down, because I'm just looking at this chart, it's just what it tells me. XRP is down like 70% since its all-time high. And I have not wavered in my beliefs one bit. That's the level of conviction I have. I'm not worried about XRP whatsoever. Of course, we'd all like it to happen tomorrow. I mean, you got other worries in life, right? Like you got the bills are due, the mortgage is due, his gas prices going up. The one thing I'm not worried about is XRP someday getting adopted. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm just a guy on YouTube. I mean, you could run into me at a bar. I'm not like the big influencers that live in a glass skyscraper in Miami. I'm just some guy, just like you guys. I just got a camera and a microphone. But those are just my beliefs, and I don't think my beliefs are going anywhere anytime soon. Let me make sure I'm caught up on the chat. I want to show you guys my DeFi stuff before we get too far. By the way, I've said it a few times on the stream. I guess it doesn't hurt to say it again. Nothing here is financial advice. I'm not a licensed professional or a financial advisor. So we're going to jump into my Flare sheet. Now, I've already filled it out for the day. I think sometimes claiming it in real time might be kind of boring content. So sometimes it kind of helps to just do it before the stream. I got my epochs, which is nice. 2 very consistent rewards, 55 both time. By the way, I was very lazy. I'm on vacation, so I forgot to log in on Saturday and Sunday. So I had 2 FTSOs to claim. That doesn't normally happen, but hey, I'm on vacation. So technically, I'm actually still on vacation. I'm streaming from an Airbnb right now. I claimed 2 FTSOs. They were combined 110.85. Now, I could go in there and look at the actual hash on the Flare network, but I feel like that's overkill. I just split the difference. One of them was 55.4 and the other one was 55.45. Maybe I'm off by a fraction of a Flare on one or the other. It doesn't matter. When you add them together, it's 110.85, which is the true number. My wrap Flare balance right now is at 51,011.41, and if we pop over here, we'll see that that's true. So did some napkin math on that, but the total balances are correct. So you guys, I'm really, really, really happy with my results so far for wrapping and staking. It's going exactly how I would want it to. I'm very consistently, if you can see, I'm very, very consistently claiming about 50 to 55 Flare every 3.5 days. And I'm getting around 190 to 200 Flare from my stake. Now, the reason the stake's a little bit lower is because the epoch reward that would normally be included with the stake, I'm getting it as my delegation because I have my FTSO as anchor for both. If you were just staking and nothing else, the epoch would be included in your stake reward. Just something that you guys should know because the numbers might come out a little different. You might be thinking, now let me get them calculators out. I'm on a MacBook, not on a PC. Where's the calculator button? Here it is. I hope you guys can see the calculator, by the way. I'm gonna wait like 10 seconds for the stream to catch up. I want you guys to see the calculator. So I need to make sure the calculator actually is on screen. Once I see the calculator, then I'll run the numbers. Okay, I see the calculator. We're good. So if I got a 55.54 reward and I divide that by 51.0, now we've done this so many times that I know that we get 104 epochs a year. So I've got 0.113. Now to get my percent, I got to multiply by 100. You might be looking at this saying, wow, this dude's getting 11.3% on his wrapping. That's really good. That's not actually what's happening here. I'm getting essentially 2 epochs, right? So I'm getting an epoch from my wrapping. I'm also getting an epoch from my staking. So if I'm getting that twice, I'm going to have to divide this by 2. What I'm really getting is 5.65% for my wrapping. That actually checks out. And if I go to Catalytica, which, by the way, I'll just post this. I highly recommend you guys save this website to your favorites bar because it's very hard to remember how to spell this, and it's really hard to Google this. I don't know why it's so hard to Google, but it is. So I'm going to link that there. And by the way, I may as well plug the Discord while we're here. There's about 80 of you guys in the Discord. We're always covering new information. Some of you guys have come to me with some really cool stuff. So if you want to get part of this, which I highly recommend everyone join the Discord, I'm going to pin the comment to that. Just click that link, request to join, I'll approve you, and you'll get to see all the different stuff that we're working on. Millpower and I are working on a cool project. We're probably going to just keep it Discord only for now until we are sure that it's going to work. And if it does, we'll definitely turn that into content. But there's that for now. I'm going to go back to Catalytica. Where was the tab for that? So this is the site. I highly recommend, if you guys are in Flare, add this to your favorites bar, because this is going to tell you all the stuff you want to know about your FTSOs. I'm going to go to reward analytics right now. And I'm going to scroll down until we find Anchor. Actually, I'll just do a Control F. I'm going to do Control F, Anchor. Here we go. So right now, Anchor's FTSO wrapping reward is 7.07, which is not quite what I've punched into my calculator, but I do believe this is like a rolling average. Nonetheless, so I'm in real time, this reward I got was 5.65, lower than what you're seeing here on Anchor. But in general, I do think that this is pretty accurate. So the delegation APY is a historical annualized value. So on an annual basis, Anchor's returning 7% on the wrapping. And I just got 5.6 in the most recent one. Regardless, you guys, I'm super happy with that. I mean, you multiply this by 2. Where else are you going to go with your money to get 11.3% yield on anything? To me, that's pretty substantial. I don't think this is going to last forever. I do imagine that when we see some very major moves in Flare's price, I do think these will go down over time. I have a hard time believing that a Flare token worth $1 is still going to return 14% a year. You know, maybe someday down the line this moves down to like 2, 3, or 4%. That's just my prediction. I just don't see it making sense to have such high yield once this thing really takes off. So what's cool about this, you know, Flare is, with all due respect, the Flare token is kind of worthless at the moment. I mean, it's under a penny per token, right? So it's no big deal that, you know, you're going to get 14% on that. You know, you can double your position pretty quick. Once there's some major appreciation on this thing, I just don't see it being sustainable to get that 14%. So you could super stack right now, which Millpower and I are planning on doing some cool stuff with that, which would be super risky stuff. I'm not going to encourage anyone to do what we're talking about. I'll probably just tell you that I did it and leave it at that and let everyone make their own decisions. But getting as much Flare as possible right now, I think down the road, you won't miss the 14% because you're just going to get so much from from the price appreciation. That's just my theory. Some of these are really high. Something like this would almost kind of make me nervous. Like, why is this FTSO handing out 17%? I think that's a little high. By the way, I just got a text message I'm going to read the text. I won't say who sent it. You guys wouldn't know who they are anyways. I just got a text message that says, XRP just hit 1.5, time to sell. You know, you can lead a horse. I apologize, by the way, if you're my friend that I'm talking about and you're watching my stream. I don't mean this to be personal, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Hold on, I got some congestion here. I just got to clear real quick. Here we go. It's been raining pretty hard today where I'm at, so the air is a little damp. Let's see here. What are you guys talking about? I'm going to try to catch up here. Mill says, something everyone here should consider. The vast majority of people view crypto with a jaundiced eye. Yeah, I don't use that word very often, Mill, so I don't even know how to pronounce that. Even worse is they want to see you fail. They lack the balls to put money into crypto, and they have the temerity to want to see you fail. You should be getting into Shakespeare, my boy. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm just trying to make some humor. They will actually feel pleasure seeing you lose money or seeing you in pain. F-word loser mentality. So basically, you're alone in all this. Yeah, I did a video shortly before Christmas telling people to stop talking about their crypto in public. That's a huge reason why. Look, nobody's going to be coming after you when your crypto is down 70%. When I make no bones about this, guys. I think that everything we're buying here has 100x potential. Not just Flare, but HBAR, XRP, XDC, literally all of it. Literally all of it has 100x potential. Not potential, potential. 100% of the stuff we're buying, unless you're buying something stupid like Shiba coin. People are not going to be happy with you when you 100x your portfolio. And so I always tell people, it's a little too late for me. I'm using my real name. I don't care. If I cared that much, I wouldn't do it. But it's too late for me. Everyone knows me as the crypto guy. If you're not making content, if you're not like in the game publicly, just keep your assets to yourself and just don't talk about it. If you need someone to talk to, join my Discord. All of us are talking about it. We all have... It's a lot easier to talk about your XRP with people that also have XRP because, like, I'm not going to get jealous of you if you've got more XRP than me. If, like, we're both in, like, the top 10%. It's kind of like... It's kind of like comparing Super Bowl rings. If I got a ring and you got 2 rings, I'm not going to like be upset with you for having 2 rings when I only got 1 because it's like you already got yours, right? Like you're already there. It's like, sure, this guy's got more, but like I've already got mine. People that have 0 crypto are going to hate you. I hope that you guys really internalize that. People that have 0 crypto are going to hate your guts. So just keep it to yourself. It's too late for me, but I've gotten a lot of my friends and family to buy XRP, so it's like they will probably just end up thanking me, but the ones that sell early will probably hate me as well. Let's see here. So let's just kind of wrap this up here. By the way, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. I think most of you are subbed, but that doesn't hurt to remind everyone. We stream every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to noon. We're going a little bit over today, which is fine. It's better to go over if you're having good convo than to try to like force a 2-hour show. That's kind of the perspective I've kind of adopted. So anyways, my wrapping's been going great. Collateral pool, I'm really not that satisfied, to be honest. My collateral pool has only gotten me 331 Flare since we began this. That's significantly behind what I'm getting for my wrapping and delegating and staking. And we're even going to consider that with the FXRP reward that I've gotten from this, even that factored in doesn't make up for how much the wrapping has outperformed. So just kind of something to think about. If I had to if I was on a grandstand right now and I'm handing out medals, I'm going to give staking the gold medal, wrapping and delegating is getting silver, and then collateral is getting bronze. I got some other stuff in here, but it's a little bit different because it has, FXRP involved. My FXRP Mystic reward is like, it's okay. I'm not blown away about it. I've got 630 flare since I started my Mystic journey. But you have to also consider, I at one point had 1,700 FXRP into that, which is like triple the dollar value as to what my flare is. Now, Mystic's at currently 4%, 4.1. That's cool. I mean, I can live with a 4% yield. I'm not going to complain about 4%. But it's not the 12 that I'm getting with Flare. So it's just something to think about. There's opportunity cost here. You can't stake your FXRP in the Flare FTSO vaults. So you got to take what you can get. You got to take what's out there. 4% on FXRP on Mystic is about as good as you can get, at least for now. On Kinetic, it's a little bit lower. Let me see. I have to connect my wallet again to get this stuff to pull up. Maybe we can just scroll down and find it without logging in. Okay, here we go. Now I'll just log in. That's fine. May as well. This is super easy stuff, by the way, guys. It gets easier to do over time. I know this stuff looks scary. You got these QR codes to scan, and it's like, what is going on here? If you're using Bifrost, this gets pretty easy to do. You can just see, I just scanned the QR code. Boom, I'm logged in. You get more comfortable with it as you do it. So let's see. I'll go to my dashboard. What do we got? FXRP. There we go. So I'm sitting pretty here at a 2.5 APY in the FXRP. Okay, that's not great. Like, I'm not blown away by that. The Flare one's much better. On Kinetic, I'm getting 8.3% on my Flare. Still not as good, by the way, as staking. So if you're just going pound for pound here, staking is by far and away your best option. Now, I'm not on Scepter yet. I know Ayman on this channel is on Scepter, and he's getting pretty good results there. I would like to get on Scepter as well. It's just that I'm really staking a very significant amount already, and I'm locked in. So if I'm going to get on Scepter, it's going to have to be with new Flare tokens, which is why I have not gotten on Scepter yet. But it's something I'm looking at doing just for experimental purposes at some point. But nonetheless, Kinetic's been working out pretty good. I'm happy about the 8.3%. By the way, you can move this around at your leisure, so it's not like this is locked up. And over time, I might consider, let's just see what happens with borrowing. Why don't we try it? And I'm not going to do it on the stream today, but if I were to do it, I can use my Flare as collateral. So let's see how this would work. Okay, so if I'm supplying Flare, maybe I can't use it as collateral. Maybe I can only borrow with Flare that's not being allocated anywhere, which at least right now on this wallet is 66 Flare. Let's just see what I could get. If I had 66 Flare, which is literally 50 cents, how much? Because I want to borrow. Oh, here I'm gonna hit borrow. Here we go. So if I want to borrow, I have a limit of 35,000 Flare. Is that what I'm seeing here? I'm gonna have to poke around with this one just to see if this really does work. I just haven't tried it yet. Like, does it allow me? what's the health factor really mean? Okay, so it won't let me take out 50,000 flare. So it looks like you can borrow up to what you've got, maybe a little bit less. So if I've got 50,000 in here, it looks like it will let me take out 35,000 as a loan. Which it doesn't even want me to do that much. Let's just see what... Let's just see if I were to try to type in 30,000. Let's just see what that would do. So I'd have to figure out... It doesn't seem to want me going... Oh, maybe I could borrow 30,000 here. I'd have to mess around with this, you guys. I want to make sure if I'm going to ever do something like this, I want to make sure it makes sense. But it does look like if I wanted to get a loan on my flare, I could at least... So I've got 50,000 here. I could at least get a loan for 30,000 flare, which is basically nothing right now. But the APY on that would only be 5.34, and that wouldn't be that hard to pay off. I mean, literally be like $300. I'm gonna keep looking into this because I think at some point this will become important, but I'm not gonna do it today. Point being, though, I mean, you could borrow a small amount and then use that for some productive activity, as long as you're not buying like a Rolex watch with that. You might be able to you might be able to do some cool stuff with that. Right now, you might still be better off to getting like an actual bank loan. We'll cover that off another time. What's going on, Josh? Happy to see that you were able to hop in, and happy to see you as well, Mike. Dang, Mike, you're waking up at 2:30 to watch my show. Dude, I appreciate that, man. That is awesome. You guys are more responsible than I am. That's cool. Steph says, it's not too late to say that you're actually Jim Carrey wearing a Andrew Fillion mask. That's awesome. Yeah, happy to see that you guys are here. I mean, we're a relatively small community, but we're trying to really build out like a DeFi network here to spread awareness on how this all works, try to get as many people up to speed on it as possible. Because I think on the other side of price appreciation for all these tokens, there's not going to be any shortage of people trying to get into crypto. But we have the opportunity now to be like ahead of the curve. And I'm happy to help as many people get there as possible. And ideally, guys, I really want to just make videos. I just don't care that much about monetization. So, which is why I've kind of taken my foot off the collaboration gas, if you will. Because it's just not the kind of stuff I want to make. I just want to make... What we're doing right here is quite literally the content I want to make, and that's basically it. So that's why I've kind of taken a step back from trying to do like, oh, by the way, here's my Gemini credit card. Like, if you guys want to sign up for that stuff, it's cool, but I'd rather just talk about making money on crypto than like churning credit cards or like I get a lot of emails saying like, here's a custodial wallet you could advertise on your channel, and custodial means that they manage it, not you. And I'm just like, well, that kind of goes against the entire thing I'm trying to build. So I just ignore those emails now. But that being said, if you guys want some cool merch, Dean from PPC Laser does make some pretty cool like home decor. That kind of stuff I'm cool with, because like, you know what you're getting when you buy home decor. It's not like I'm saying, hey, here's a PDF with information that you can only get from me, or here's some group that can hold your crypto and they'll do stuff for you that you can't do yourself. None of that BS. It's like when you get a sign, you know what the sign is. If you guys want some of that stuff, Dean, I think that you're watching right now. If you just want to plug your site, because I don't have the link on hand. I'm on a laptop. I don't have my normal setup, so I don't have that on hand. If you just want to kind of plug that, that's fine. But yeah, I'm really just here for the community building. That's really kind of what I'm here for. So it looks like, I think most of you guys are probably already in the Discord, but we'll keep plugging away at that. I do believe, I think I've run through all the topics. I can pop to Twitter real fast just to see if there is any last minute news to cover. Most of it is war related. I got some crypto stuff too, but I don't think anything has really happened over the weekend that's like breaking news. But we do have, I'm going to be tracking the Firelight announcement pretty closely on Wednesday. I'm going to head to their Twitter real quick and just see if they've said anything over the past weekend worth looking at here. 2 days until the Firelight cap raises. Are you ready? Now, I just want to make sure because, I minted all that FXRP a month ago to get into Firelight, and then it didn't go live. I mean, I could always just move that, but I want some. I want some red meat here. If you guys haven't done this yet, I mean, you definitely can. I did a demo video on how to mint FXRP. If you guys need help with that, it's definitely still relevant. It's on my channel. Just you can look for it in the demos playlist. They say needed a quick refresher on how to stake. They should have shared my video. I'm kidding. I don't know that I'm going to mint any more FXRP until I see what we're getting out of that. But I just hope that their vault does not fill up day one again. If it does, that's going to be a big disappointment. Because I would like to get some more in Firelight and see what we can really get going with this thing. So we'll see. I mean, it goes live in 2 days, so we'll probably talk even more about it Tuesday, which I guess is tomorrow, and just say, hey, if you want to get in on this thing, like, get ready. Beyond that, you guys, I think we've pretty much covered everything for the day. We're going to keep tracking oil, keep tracking gas, all that fun stuff. I do think, I'm calling it now, guys. I think the bottom is in. I'm not saying we're gonna off to the races here. I just think that I was looking for that 5-day average and we got it. I have a feeling that there's not going to be any more major dip. That's just my opinion. We'll see if it ends up being true. Of course, we know here in crypto anything can happen, but I mean, when was the last time $1.50 XRP? Like Valentine's Day? So I'm just going to pop this one last time just so we can see how things have stabilized. So if I just drag this little bad boy down to January, that's good enough. Last time XRP was where it's at right now, basically beginning of February. So like February 2nd, it pooped. Haven't really seen these prices since. So let's just keep watching. My own fear and greed index inside my own mind is going up. I'm starting to get greedy. Let's see if this continues going up. But I am going to have to let you guys go. My friend who I'm visiting wants to grab lunch. So we'll be back to our normal streaming hours tomorrow, which I guess today was also a normal stream as well. But I'll be back home. I'll have my normal setup, multiple monitors. All of my save tabs are going to be up and running. So that'll be fun. And then I'll try to be doing more pre-recorded content as well. I know that I've been kind of lazy about that lately, but at least I haven't missed a stream. So at least I'm good on that front. I'm going to start shutting this thing down. hop into the Discord if you guys need help with stuff. We'll be popping in there. I'm gonna be flying in the not so distant future, so I'll probably be out of contact at least until tomorrow. But with that said, guys, I'm gonna start closing this thing down. Subscribe if you have not already, and if I can find the end stream button here. Looking for that. All right, cool. Found it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.